Nowadays, it just feels like everything is so expensive. Eggs are $7, milk is expensive, cars, houses are at all-time highs, mortgage rates 7%. It's like, how do I even afford anything? So right now is probably the perfect time to figure out how to control your money and allocate where it should go. That being said, I'm going to be talking about where your money should be going, how much you should be spending on yourself, how much you should be investing, and how much you should be paying towards your bills. If you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a tool that's going to help you organize all this and visualize it all for free. One of the biggest issues that many people have with their relationship with their money is it's so complicated and there's so much stress involved because they don't know where it all goes. And that's where the 50-30-20 rule comes in. So the 50-30-20 rule, what is all of this about? The 50-30-20 rule breaks down how much you should be spending in 3 different categories. The first category is your needs, second category is your wants, and your last category is your savings and investing. So the first category, which is the biggest and probably the most important, is the 50%, and that is going towards your needs. Half of your income should be going towards your needs. Now, what's a need? A need should be something that is essential to living and practically can't survive without. This includes your rent or your mortgage payments. You need to live somewhere. You can't live out in the streets. Your utilities, you need gas to cook. You need water to take a shower, you need heat to stay warm, you need AC to stay cool. Then of course your groceries to make your meals and eat and stay healthy. One thing that some people consider a need and some people consider a want is transportation or your car. Yes, transportation is a need to get to work, to make money and pay your bills, but technically a fancy car like a Corvette or an Escalade is not a need. So if you have a Honda and you want to upgrade to that fancy car, $2,000 payment isn't a need. It's something that you want to upgrade your car, to get into something newer, something more luxurious, and so on. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do this, because if you can afford this, by all means, go ahead and do it. Now you're probably thinking here, well,
how am I supposed to fit all my stuff into 50% if my mortgage and rent is so high nowadays?
Well, that's true. It's likely that you could be making $4,000 a month and $2,000 is going towards housing, but there's a few ways you can lower your housing payments. Some easier and more realistic than others. The first one, which probably won't apply to many people, is basically relocate. If you're in California in the high cost of living area, it's going to be very tough to meet that 50% because rent alone could be $3,000. Nowadays, where a lot of jobs are remote, if you're able to, you can get up and move to a lower cost of living, like Texas where housing is cheaper, or even Michigan in the Midwest. Or you can go the second option, which is house hacking. House hacking is popular with a lot of young adults and even college students. The idea of house hacking is where you buy a multifamily property, which could be a duplex of 2 units, a triplex of 3 units, quadplex of 4 units, a whole apartment building if you have that kind of money, and then live in one side and rent out the other sides. This way, when you have someone living in the other side, they're paying you rent for your house and you're applying that to your mortgage, cutting down your mortgage costs out of your pocket. And sometimes if you find a good enough deal, most of the time you can live for free or even make money out of it. So if your mortgage payment is $1,500 on the duplex, you can rent out the other side for $1,700 and then you get $200 to your pocket while paying the mortgage. See, it is hard to come by properties like this nowadays because everyone's trying to get into real estate investing, but you can also do this with a single family property. If you live in a 3-bedroom house and you only need 1 bedroom, you can rent out the other rooms. This could be to a colleague, a coworker, a brother, a sister, a cousin, whoever you want to be. You can even be a stranger if you want. Personally, I won't want a stranger living in my house, but that's up to you if you're willing to do the background check to make sure they're safe, they're not a serial killer. Anyways, that's always an option. But like I said, make sure you're doing a background check on who you want living with you, because this is going to be your roommate. But the idea is the same. They're going to be paying you rent. You're going to be using that money to pay down the mortgage. You're going to build equity. And at the same time, you're going to be living for free or maybe even making some money. If not for free, you're going to be paying a minimal payment. The next portion to this 50-30% rule is the 30%, which is probably everyone's favorite, and that's the wants. The wants is the portion that you can spend on anything you want. This could be on a new car. This could be on a new phone. This could be on new shoes, new clothes. See, the one thing that people think with budgeting is it's very restrictive and they want to stay away from it, because what they think budgeting is tracking every single expense that you have. When you go to Starbucks and buy that coffee, you got to write down $3 spent at Starbucks. Make sure you're staying within some amount spent. That's not what a budget or this 50-30% rule should be. What this means to me is you're prioritizing where your money should be and cutting out the unnecessary costs. If you love traveling and don't care for new clothes like I do, I'm going to spend all my money on traveling. I'm not going to care to go shopping, buy that $300 shirt or whatever it may be. But if you're someone who loves shopping, doesn't really care to travel much, or doesn't care for the new iPhone, you can now prioritize where your money is going. That way you have more of what you actually want and less of the stuff you don't care about. In my case, like I said, it's traveling and eating at restaurants. But that's specific to me and doesn't have to be where you want to spend your money. The thing with the 30% for wants is it's very easy to overspend here. Because if I give you $1,000, no one's going to want to put that to their bills. No one's going to want to save and invest that unless they're a finance nerd like I am. They're going to want to spend that and splurge on whatever they want. So one thing that I do that makes sure I'm not overspending in my wants is automating everything. See, when I get paid on the
first every month,
I'm making sure all my bills are automatically paid. That 50% is taken care of. Also, my 20%, which we're going to talk about here next, for saving and investing is automatically withdrawn from my account. So I know how much money I have left over. All that leftover money, I can spend on whatever I want. I can even invest and save more if I want and lower my wants. But by automating everything, you don't have to do any thinking. It really simplifies everything and you don't have to worry about tracking every single dollar spent. Now let's jump to the last section, the 20%, which is my personal favorite, saving and investing. This 20% that you're going to be saving and investing is for the long term. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and so on. But the absolute first thing it should be going towards is your emergency fund. Your emergency fund is money you put aside in the checkings account, in the savings account, not in the market. That's about 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses that you can rely on if there's ever an emergency, like a medical emergency, your car breaks down, you lose your streams of income, and so on. See, this shouldn't be invested. This should be somewhere safe and secure and easily accessible. Because if it's a Sunday, you don't want to have to wait till Monday to get your money. And if your investments are down, that means you're going to have to wait or either take the loss on your emergency fund. See, by keeping it in a checkings account or even under your mattress if you want in cash, that's completely fine, but you are going to lose money towards inflation. 2, 3, maybe even like we're seeing now, 5%. But that's the cost of security. Don't stress that and make sure it's somewhere accessible. If you want, you can keep in a high yield savings account and get a few percent on your money. This way you're not completely losing to inflation. This 20% doesn't necessarily need to come all from your pockets. You should also be accounting for your 401k and your 401k match. See, when you invest in a 401k, your company is likely going to match that money you put in. So if you put in 4%, they're going to put in an additional 4%. And sometimes they'll even put another 4% on top of that without you even having to invest. So by putting 4% in your money, you'll get 12% in total. And this can be used towards your 20% savings and investing goal. So now you only need to worry how to save 8 to 10% every single year because you're already saving in your 401k. You can also save those in your Roth IRA and your HSAs, which are tax advantage accounts, which you should really take advantage of. But aside from the investing, you can also be saving, like I said, for vacation funds, for building a house, for buying a house, for your honeymoon, for your wedding, whatever that big purchase is. That's what this 20% is used for. One thing I touched upon earlier that's very important to this is automating it. So you can set your investments up so every time you get paid, it automatically withdraws 20% or 10%, whatever you're investing, sends that to your investment account and invest in whatever you choose. This way you don't even need to go into the app and worry about it every single 2 weeks. It's automated, your 20% is getting done. Now, like I said, you can use that 30% to spend however you want. Even though it's the smallest section of the 50-30-20 rule, it really is the most important because this is what's going to put your money to work and save you in the future. I really should rename this a 20-50-30 rule. It's not my rule to change, but I guess it's best for last. So today we went over how to allocate your money and where your money should be going. And if you're here thinking, well, my money's at 55%, this is a guideline and not a rule. You're not going to go completely broke if you're not following this to the T. You don't need exactly 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% investing. This is just something that's going to guide you on where's a well-balanced portfolio. So if you have 55 or even 60% on needs right now, that's completely fine. Just use this rule to guide towards that and kind of work down to that 50%. This way you can also allocate some money to investing and lastly, spend some money on yourself because that's important too. So like I said earlier, I've created an Excel sheet that I use that helps me visualize where my money is going, how much I'm spending on my bills, how much I'm spending on my wants, and how much I'm investing. So I'm going to drop that in the description. Make sure to check that out. Drop a comment if that helps you out and what you guys thought about the video. Share with a friend, like, and of course subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.